Now that the brain has been cut with coronal sections, we can really start to see the organization of the brain. You can see again that the gray matter is located superficial and the white matter is located deep. You can see this on several of the sections. Remember that gray matter corresponds to cell bodies of neurons and white matter corresponds to myelinated axons. You can see the beginning of the corpus callosum here in one of these most anterior sections and how it connects this side of the brain to this side through this large tract of white matter. Moving further posteriorly, we can now begin to see the lateral ventricles and how they can begin to communicate with this central third ventricle. Moving further posterior, you can see the third ventricle on the midline. This is why we couldn't see the third ventricle in the mid-sagittal section, because we made that cut straight through here. But now you can see it in this coronal section. Remember that where the third ventricle is, we also have the thalamus located right here and the hypothalamus located right here. Moving further posteriorly, we can follow the progression of the ventricles. We still have some third ventricle here, and we still have some corpus callosum here. You can also see the beginnings of a part of the hippocampus. This is one part of the brain that's very important for memory formation. If you wish to do a further dissection, trying to dissect out the hippocampus, you can do that on a separate sheep brain. It's a complicated structure that spans many sections. Moving further posteriorly, we're now at the midbrain. Remember that the midbrain is the location of the superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus. And you can see here we have the cerebral aqueduct. Remember that it's a very narrow avenue for connecting the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. And if I turn this section over to look at the more posterior end, you can again see the cerebral aqueduct is this roughly circular shape. This is a good landmark for knowing whether you're looking at the midbrain. Moving further posteriorly, again, you can see we're still in the midbrain here because we have the cerebral aqueduct. So we would find the corpora quadrigemina here, and now we can see that we're approaching the cerebellum. Moving posteriorly, the cerebral aqueduct then empties into the fourth ventricle. Here's the cerebellum above, and here is the pons below. The fourth ventricle continues underneath the cerebellum and then into the medulla oblongata.